All right, good people. What's up? What's
Right.
up? What's up? All right, look,
What's
man.
what's going on? Yes.
Yeah, man. Look. I wanted to jump right into it, man.
Let's
I
do it.
wanted. We're gonna talk about forgiveness today,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
first off, I think like forgiveness is a big topic that needs to be drawn. I don't think many people know what forgiveness is,
Mm.
and so I guess I want to start with like when you think about forgiveness, right? What's some of the first things that come to your mind? Like what do you when you think of
When I think
forgiveness,
about
what comes to your mind first? Not the people, not but what is it? You know what I'm saying?
freedom, for me it's freedom.
It's freedom. It's
Yeah.
freedom. Explain. Like what do you mean freedom?
Well, so as I've come to learn how to forgive, as I've come to just be able to forgive not only myself but other people, I started to realize that the whole point of that is to free yourself from the bond that you have from that trial, that tribulation, that trauma, that hurt that's still holding on to. Um, when I was able to fully forgive, I realized that I didn't hold this weight that I used to hold. I didn't hold this pressure anymore. That was the biggest feeling, not just emotionally but physically, and I wasn't dependent on that negative feeling anymore. It didn't drive me anymore. It was like something that I used as a negative motivating factor, which was like unhealthy for me. I say that to say, you know a lot of people, well, especially me, when I thought I was forgiven, it was like, you know what, they're gonna be okay, but wait till they see me shine. And I realized that that was still
Mhm.
me holding on to something. So when I was really able to forgive, it was like, you know what? If they see me low or see me high, it doesn't matter. I've forgiven them. They can go on about their
Yeah.
life, and I can go on about my life. And if we see each other, hey, how you doing? Hope all is well. And I genuinely mean that. Goodbye. And not have any attachments to any negative thoughts or feelings, or any attachments to anything that I may have done to someone or they may have done to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You said freedom, and I think like that's a perfect word for it. I've heard the saying before, like, not forgiving is like drinking poison, hoping that the other person's gonna die. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And so what you're saying is like you're freeing yourself from that anger, from that resentment, from holding on to that. Um, and I guess when because whenever we're talking about stuff, one of the things I realized in working with different clients is that if you say forgiveness and I say forgiveness, we may hear two different things, right?
Hmm.
And so a lot of times when I'm talking to people about forgiveness, they're thinking like, well, shoot, like I don't want to let that person off the hook. Like,
Hmm.
why should I forgive them? You know what they
Yeah.
did to me. You know how they hurt me. Blah 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 blah. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, first things first. We're not talking about the same thing, right?
Mm.
I'm saying forgiveness, and I'm talking about freedom for you,
Mhm.
and you hear forgiveness and you're thinking about letting this person off the hook, and it's like, no, that's not what forgiveness is.
Mm.
And so I love that word when you say freedom, because it is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
being able to forgive is freeing yourself, which would mean not being able to forgive is like holding yourself in a prison.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And either way, it's all up to you.
Mhm.
That's the beautiful thing about forgiveness. Like it's up to you. Like can't nobody make you forgive. Can't nobody tell you should or shouldn't forgive. Like it's up to you. You ain't even
Mhm.
got. You know what? Like you don't even have to talk to the person
Mhm.
to forgive them. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, there's sometimes when you gonna have to forgive the person and they're not even in your life anymore.
Mm. Talk about it. It's interesting that you say that. There's also, I believe, just like addicts, you have to be ready to forgive. And what I mean by that is sometimes you have to go through your grieving process. You have to go through your resentment. You have to go through all the emotions that you need to go through to get to a point to say, you know what, I can't be bothered by this anymore. I can't be bothered by this person. I can't be bothered by this memory anymore. It's holding me down. It's keeping me stagnant. I'm not growing from where I was to where I need to be. And at that point, when you're able to make a conscious decision to say, you know what, this is about me. This isn't about that person. This is about me growing in the right way. Then you can start to really make a cognitive decision to say, okay, you know what, I can forgive, and let me take a look at what forgiveness is and how to forgive, and really see if I am truly forgiving someone.
Right. Right. It's a decision that you have to make, right? And it's a process. It's not overnight. Like,
Right.
and especially if the hurt is deep, you know.
Mm,
Another thing, like I realize, is that sometimes people think they forgive because they say the words,
mm-hmm,
and it's like just saying the words is not forgiving. You know,
mm-mm,
that's like apologizing, right? Like if I sit here and I smack you in the face and then I say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then I smack you in the face again and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I smack you in the face again and say,
mm-hmm.
"Oh, I'm sorry," right? Just saying the words
Are
isn't
you
an
really
apology.
sorry? Yeah.
Right, right.
Right.
You're not really sorry, right? And just saying I
Mm,
forgive you is and actually, because I was speaking to somebody today, and we got on this topic, we started talking about forgiveness, and I was like, here's the thing. If if I go to you to tell you I forgive you, what am I really doing?
mm,
Like, think about that. Is I'm doing one or two things. Either
mm-hmm,
A, I want you to look bad, or
mm,
B, I want you to look at me as doing something good.
okay.
I'm not really doing it for pure intentions.
So you're
It's
you're
not
doing it
really.
like the Pharisees.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah. It's like I'm going on a fast. So let me go ahead and dress a certain way and put certain stuff on and show everybody that I'm fasting. Like,
mm-hmm.
no,
Yeah. You're
no,
doing it
take
for
a
the
shower,
show.
boy.
You're not doing it. Yeah.
I'm doing it for the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, tell everybody, look how good I am. Look how good of a person I am. I'm going to forgive this person. What?
Also, it's interesting you say that because that is so true. I think that a lot of people though they get stuck there and they say I've forgiven this person because I said I forgave this person, but they
Mhm.
still hold on to resentments.
Right.
And they don't know why. They're like, listen, I said I forgave the person. Why am I still holding on to these resentments? Or if you talk to them, you can tell they're still holding on to resentments and they're still holding on to
Mhm.
baggage from it. The thing about forgiveness is exactly what you said. It's a process. You have to diligently work at it. And when
Mhm.
you're deciding to forgive someone, there are going to be certain times when things that you forgot about come to light, things that you've suppressed come
Yep.
back up, and you have to take the time to say, you know what? I still forgive this person for that. I still forgive this person for that. And that's okay. I know that that happened. And you know what? It was bad that it happened. But it's the past and it's not going to dictate how my future is, and I'm letting that go. And that is an ongoing process. Forgiveness is an ongoing
Yeah.
process for a lot of things, especially if it was like you said, truly traumatic.
Yeah.
When you're truly, especially for a guy, for a man who's been betrayed, or for a woman who's experienced loss, or a man or woman who's experienced loss have been betrayed. There's a deep hurt, and that deep hurt has to be worked on. It's like an onion. It has to be peeled back one layer at a time and forgiven one layer at a time. And that takes work. And a lot of people think that it can be done overnight by saying, I forgive this person. No, 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 no. Until you've consciously done it, until you've actually made the decision mentally and more so spiritually than anything, at that point, you'll know because when those memories come up, you're not as reactive to them, if reactive at all. You can respond to them and say, yeah, you know what, I remember that, and that's okay. And I'm a product of that. You know what I mean? I know one of my traumatic experiences was my divorce, and it took me a long time to figure out how to forgive, to
Mhm.
begin the process of forgiving, and to understand the ongoing process of forgiving and that being okay.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love when you talk about like peeling back the onion, like you find more layers to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people may get into a situation where they like, I've forgiven this person, and maybe they actually have forgiven, but the thing is, it's like you said with peeling back an onion, it's like the situation may be this, and you may have found a way to forgive this, but
Mm-hmm.
what you haven't realized is how this has affected this.
Talk
And
about it.
so as you're forgiving this, you're like, okay, but then this affects this. So then other stuff starts to pop up. And so maybe later on down the road, this other stuff starts to seep in, and that anger comes back, and that resentment comes back. And you're like, well, shoot, I thought I forgave this person. And maybe you did for this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And once, I always say, like, in my first book, Controlling from the Grave, the person who taught me the most about forgiveness was my grandfather. And I often say, like, he taught me so much about forgiveness. And I do believe I have forgiven him for so many things. But I often wonder, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not a grandfather yet. I wonder if when I become a grandfather, if there's certain things that I haven't seen yet that may bring up other more resentment, more anger that I haven't experienced yet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because certain situations may bring up certain things. And while you may, like, for example, while you may forgive your a father for not being there, right? And you say, okay, well, I forgave my father. Well, it may trigger something when you become a father.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I can't believe this dude. Like that was one of the things that always baffled me when I looked at my boys. I started realizing more anger coming up towards my father when I thought I forgave him. But
Mm-hmm.
what was happening was I started to see something different. I started to see something more. And so as I started to see more, it was like, yeah, I forgave him for this, but now I'm seeing a bigger picture. And it's like, whoa, how do I deal with this bigger picture? Right? And so to your point, forgiveness is a process, and it's like peeling back the onion, and it makes you cry. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely. You made an interesting point about, what happens when you become a father or what happens when you become a grandfather. And, there's, different things that could come up. You know, that's most likely something that's bound to happen. You know what I mean? But I think if you haven't started the process of forgiveness in the first place, if you don't have a foundation of forgiveness, those things become that much harder to deal with when they do come up. But when you
Oh
started
yeah,
that process and you say, you know what, wait, I know this is an emotion. I know this is something that I have control over this emotion. I can choose to react to it, to respond to it. I can choose to let this blow up, or I can choose to go on forgiving this because I know how to forgive. That process, not to say it makes it easy, but it makes it easier. And that's
yeah.
why it's so important to begin the process of forgiving as soon as you're able to. And I'm not saying that you need to force yourself to be able to. No, no, no. What I'm saying is that when you consciously know, all right, you know what, this is weighing down on me, and
Mhm.
and and I have to let this go because I have not been able to move on. I have not been able to blossom into who I think I could be or should be because I'm holding on to this. That's when it says, okay, you know what? Let me start to do the work. And I know for me, I had to do some research. I had to ask a lot of questions. I had to do a lot of praying. I had to do a lot of meditation. The answers just didn't come right away. You know what I mean? There's no just here's how you forgive. No, 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 no. That's different for each and every person. And that is something that individually you have to work at. That's something that individually, honestly, it's just like a relationship with God. It's different for every person. And as you begin to work on it, you'll see what works for you in the forgiveness process versus what works for somebody else. But that doesn't mean that them telling you how they forgive won't help you, or won't give you some type of tidbit on your forgiveness process. Every little bit helps on your journey. You just kind of, pick and choose of what works for you. But I think the most important thing is to start when you're ready and to continue after you started.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you said like, and I said like the first word you said, freedom, is beautiful, right? What did you notice, like even with your divorce, right? What
Hmm.
did you notice that forgiveness gave you, that freedom allowed you to do?
Ooh, that's a great question. So when I started to realize I was free is, my divorce, it wasn't just, my ex-wife. It was the people that surrounded it. It was the circumstances that surrounded it. It was all these intricate details of negative things that happened to me that I wanted to show the world and to show these people, look, even though you did this to me, look what I become. And using that as a motivating factor to be better in some instances. But then I realized, if I didn't have this negative motivating factor, would I still do this? Would I still want to go to the club? I mean, would still go to the gym? Would I still want to go to church? Would I still want to go to my men's group? Or am I doing this for me? Now, when I started to realize, you know what, I need to start doing things for me and not for them, that's when my forgiveness process kind of started. It wasn't full blossom, but the reason that I say that is I started to realize I had to be able to forgive them so that I could start to work on me and stop using them as an excuse to do things for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. So okay, so you started to learn how to do things for you, right? And as you know, surrounding the people around. But when it comes to her,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Were there things that you were able to like forgive her, but then
Hmm.
realize, shoot, I'm just scratching the surface on forgiveness? Like, were there times when, and are there times even now where stuff pops up, and then
Hmm.
because here's the thing, right? I think we demonize anger and resentment, um, and we demonize emotions we don't like to feel. Um,
Right.
but they're all useful, and I think that the problem with holding on to anger is holding on to the anger, right? And
Hmm.
not trying to understand it, and then not letting it process through you. But if you holding on to anger for 10, 20, 30 years, it's going
Hmm.
to make you into a bitter, angry person, right? But
Sure.
if you process the anger and let it go through you, then it can actually make you a better person. And so, I'm wondering if there's times even now where you think about
Hmm.
certain parts of the marriage, like I'm mentioning like being a father, and I'm wondering if that's like something that you may have thought about with the marriage, and then when it ended, realize, shoot, because when the marriage ends, it's not just a marriage ending, right? It's dreams, it's ambitions, and it's hopes, it's expectations that end, right? There's a lot of loss in there, and so I'm wondering if
Hmm.
you've experienced where, okay, yeah, I have forgiven, but then other stuff pops up, and it's like, shoot, I thought I forgave her, but shoot, I don't know.
So I kind of got to answer that question in two parts.
Hmm.
One, as I began forgiving herself, I realized that I also needed to accept my part in it. And I wasn't able to truly forgive her without starting to forgive myself too. It's a two-way street. I had to work on myself the same way that I was working on forgiving her. But it couldn't just be a blame game. And that's what it started off as. I blame her. And now, mind you, some crazy messed up stuff happened.
Hmm.
But what I mean by taking a look at my part in is what did I allow? What did I overlook? What did I choose to ignore? What was right in front of my face that I said, you know what, even though this is the biggest red flag ever, I'm just gonna keep going along with it. I had to
Right.
accept those things.
Right.
And I had to admit those things, and those things had to come to surface. And I had to say, you know what, I forgive myself, because even though I was naive, even though, I wanted things so bad that obviously weren't going to happen, let me forgive myself first. And in doing that, it's like, you know what, let me actually forgive her, because you know what, I allowed her to do a lot of this stuff, not everything, but I invited it.
Mhm.
And just because you invite somebody to do wrong to you doesn't mean they should, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you don't accept your part in it, it's very, very hard to forgive that person, because you're still putting all the blame on them. So I say that to say, when it came down to things coming up, oh my gosh, yes, things were coming up constantly. You remember those calls we had?
Yep.
um I mean, after the fact, I should say. um I would look at my part in it, and I would say, I had to get to a point, you know what I mean? Because trust me, you're going to do the blame game for a while, you know what I mean? But once
Mhm.
you get to the point of saying, or once I got to the point of saying, you know what, this blame game isn't working, what do I need to do? It really came down to working on me, and accepting my part for what I did, and saying, you know what, even though none of these things were okay, they happened, and we both played a part in them, and I accept my part, I forgive myself, and I forgive her for her part. And that, for me, made forgiveness, the process of forgiveness, a lot, not easier but simpler,
Mhm.
just because I
Mhm.
was able to bring both of us to the surface, and work on me as I worked on forgiving her. Does that make sense? I hope I
Yeah.
answered that right.
Yeah. 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 And now I do want to say this though, because there's some situations where it would be, in my opinion, inappropriate to shift the blame to myself. So, for example,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, but I mean, I'm hearing you because especially in context of a relationship. But there's also
Mhm.
parts of that relationship that you should not take blame in. Like, there's
Sure.
certain parts where you're like, where you shouldn't. It would almost be detrimental to you to say, okay, hold on, I
Yeah.
played a part in that. It's like,
Yeah.
no. You know what I'm saying? If you come home and somebody's there, you
Yeah.
you you know what I'm saying?
You didn't play.
You can't take that blame. And I think, one of the important parts of forgiveness is just being honest, which
Hmm.
is hard for a lot of people for many reasons, because
Hmm.
it's sometimes, for a lot of people, it's hard to be honest without either elevating or demonizing somebody.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, like, if your parent did something to you, right?
Hmm.
Some people, like let's say a typical situation where a mother may abuse a child or beat a child, right? Back in the day, let's say
Hmm.
beat a child, and today, we may call it abuse, and it may have been traumatizing. But then the person may say, "Well, shoot, I love my mother, and I know my mother loves me, so
Hmm.
I'm not willing to say that they beat me." You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to say I
Mm.
deserved it. And it's like, because I don't want to demonize my mother, I'm not willing to say what happened. But that's a problem,
Mm. Okay.
because
Yeah.
if I can't deal with what happened, then I can't forgive.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm
Absolutely.
making an excuse for this person, and trying to brush it off as if it didn't happen. But that's not true forgiveness.
I know what you're saying, but I don't, and I do agree with you. I think that you have to have a boundary. You know what I mean, with what, when I say your role in it. I mean, You have to, like, okay, let me just use myself as an example.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
talked about my role in this, I had to say, okay, you know what? Let me look at some of the things that I overlooked. Let me look at some of the things that, wow, I really did, you know what I mean, let that slide. I really did overlook that. I really did, just let that flag wave in front of me and not do anything about it. That doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh, you know what? Because I did that, what she did was okay. No, 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 no. I would never ever accept, you know what I mean, that blame. But what I will say is that, okay, you know what? I see my part in that, and you know what? Even though that's my part in that, that doesn't mean that this person's supposed to do X, Y, and Z, or should have done X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean, like you said, coming home at night and somebody being there was supposed to happen. No, 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 no. What I'm saying is that I've owned my part. So because I own my part, now I can forgive you for your part, no matter how cruel it was.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I think, if you can do that, and in certain circumstances, I do think that that is viable, right? Like you can do that, but I do think that there's certain circumstances where there's there's nowhere to do that. So for example, I think it's like somebody who's been raped or something, right? No, no,
Hmm.
no female should ever sit here, and I'm gonna say female because females rape more than men, even though men are raped too. But
Hmm.
no female should sit up here and say, "Well, you know what? I really shouldn't have wore that dress." You know, like
Amen.
I played a part in there, so it's my fault
You don't have
too.
to take that. Yeah.
You know what I'm
You don't
saying?
ever have to take that type of ownership. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely,
Now
bro.
there may be certain circumstances where you can say, you know what, okay, got it. I did play a part in this too. But there's a lot of circumstances where you're like, hold on, I d- no, I'm an innocent. I was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I don't. And
Yeah,
so I mean, but
shoot,
I
it
get
could be
what you're
you were a
saying.
good husband. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, and I totally agree with you. What I'm saying is that as you screen, as you go back and you screen the process of whatever you dealt with, whomever you dealt with, um, that's a part of, you know what, that cruelty is not on me. That cruelty is on them. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Yeah, maybe I did play a part in being naive. Maybe I did play a part in being too passive. Whatever the case may be, but that has no bearing on the cruelty that happened.
Right.
And it's exactly what you just said about, someone who was molested, raped, abused, beat, whatever the case may be. No, there's no ownership that you have to take on that. That cruelty happened to you and it was no fault of your own. Just like there's so many things that happen in divorces or losses or whatever the case may be that are no fault of that person's own. So I'm not trying to say that you need to take ownership so that whatever cruelty happened, you can see your part in it. No, 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 no. I'm saying that what helped me to forgive was accepting the parts that I had and also being able to forgive the major things that happened. It was a two-way street because I had to heal too, if that made sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I'm with you, and I do. Forgiveness, like you said, it's freedom, right? So forgiveness is
Hmm.
healing, right? So
Hmm.
it is a process, and
Sure.
but I also think that it's okay for me to say, listen, I forgive you for what you did, without saying, yeah, and my part in that was like,
Mm.
sometimes I need to forgive both of us, and sometimes I just
Yeah.
need to forgive you. You know what I mean? You
You,
know what I mean? Like like
absolutely, yes.
like nah, I didn't play a major part in that, or I didn't play no part in that other than just being there. What, I'm gonna forgive myself for being alive? Like, you know what I'm
I
saying?
think that's important. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think
No,
that
no,
that's
you
so
good.
important that you said that. The reason I think it's so important that you said that is because there are things, no, I forgive you. And if that person tries to play it back or say, no, 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 you did this, no, 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 stop. I forgive you, and that's where I stand on that. And we don't have to go if you don't want to accept, you know what I mean? That's fine. I'm just letting you know I forgive you. And you can stand on that. You don't have to take ownership on any part that you don't need to take ownership on. That's why forgiveness is a process, because there are going
Yeah.
to be people that you try to amend to or make amendments with that don't want that. They don't want your
Right.
forgiveness, or they don't want to forgive you, or whatever the case may be, and that's okay. It's not about them. It's the result is not them. The result is you. So when you're forgiving someone, regardless if they lash back out at you, if they accept your forgiveness, if they tell you you're a liar and you deserved everything, okay, I'm forgiving you, and this is about me. This isn't about you. Have a nice day.
And here's the thing. I I I kind of feel like, and going back to earlier when I said, I kind of feel like the proper way to forgive is not to tell you. I don't need to tell you I
Mm,
forgive you, because I'm doing one or two things. Either I'm trying to put you down and say, "Hey,
mhm,
remember that thing you did? Yeah, I'm the bigger man. I forgive you." Right?
mm.
Or I'm trying to make myself look good in other people's eyes. No, in my eyes, the proper way to forgive, I don't need to tell you. I
It's
don't need.
within.
Right, right.
It's within. It's not
Now
about that
obviously,
person.
now if we have a conversation right now, if we're sitting here and we're talking about it, then I could say, and you bring stuff up, and I could say, "Oh, bro, like I forgave you for that. Like, don't carry on that guilt." So if me letting you know that I forgave you helps you like get rid of your guilt for doing something, right? And I say, yo, don't trip. Like I forgave you for that. Like I forgive you.
Mhm,
Like we're done with that. If that helps you to get rid of your guilt, then cool. I could let you know I forgave you. But other than that, forgiveness ain't for you anyway. So I don't need to
mhm.
broadcast it. I need to sit back and really think to myself, have I really forgiven you? Because
I think that.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
I think that more than 90% of forgiveness will always be within. It'll be a conscious decisions that you made. There won't be a conversation. Why?
right.
Because half the people, if not most of the people that you need to forgive as you grow will be weeded out of your life.
Mm,
You know, that season's over with them. Does that make sense?
mm,
And there's no reason for you
yeah.
guys to have contacts. There's no reason for you to have a conversation with this person. They're your past now. But that doesn't mean that you're not still holding on to your past by holding on to resentments. You
Mhm,
know, there's a saying there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord. And
mhm.
there's such a big people don't realize they look at the vengeance is mine as okay, God's gonna go, you know what I'm saying, crash on these people. No, no, no. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, so that it frees you.
Right,
Stop
right,
worrying about this person. I've got that
right,
taken care of. Whatever happens to them, it's whether good or bad, that's on me. You go be better because I've got
right,
this taken care of. That's kind of the understanding that we have to have about forgiveness is not, you know what, I forgive them. So because I did that, they're gonna be coals on their head and they're gonna have a bad life. No, 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 no. God is graceful. We have to be graceful. Wish them a good life. Let them go
right,
have a great life. Let you go have a great life too, because you're not attached to that anymore.
right,
You see what I'm saying? And because of vengeance, because of holding on to resentments, because of like you said, drinking the poison, expecting the other person to die, we have all of these negative things that we want to happen to this person because they affected us in such a bad way without realizing that no, that person is no longer part of your life. Thank the Lord for that. That person also doesn't need to be attached to you in any other way, especially emotionally, through any memories or through anything that they did to you. Because now you're free to go be whoever you want to be and let them go be free to be whoever they want to be. That's okay. But if you sit here and you say, you know what, I'm not happy, I can't grow because bad things aren't happening to them, then you are stuck. And they
yep,
have power over you that you need to give up,
and they have power over you that you're giving them, and
that you're
and
giving them.
right, and it's weird because they don't have power over you. You're giving
Yeah.
some imaginary image of them power over you. You know what I'm saying? And but as you were talking, I was thinking about Jonah. Like
Hmm.
it's like Jonah is told to go ahead and talk to this town Nineveh and let
Yeah.
and tell them what the deal is, and Jonah's like, "Yo, I'm not going over there.
I'm not going for
I
it.
don't, man. Matter of fact, I'm taking the ship and going the other way. Like, I don't want
And
to talk
why?
to
Because
these
he did
devils.
not. Because he ain't rock with them.
I want them to suffer. I want them to
Yes.
suffer, and I'm
Uh-huh.
not. No, I'm not about to go help them. I want them to suffer." And he ends up, a lot of people know the story of Jonah getting thrown into the water in the well 3 days. Well pops him up, and now all of a sudden he's in the town, and he's like, "Bruh,
Still not gonna do it.
you know
I'm
what?
still not gonna do it. I'm gonna sit underneath this little
Yeah, look."
tree.
Well, he did it. He did it right, but he was like, yo, God said y'all need to repent, bro. That's that.
Yeah.
That's all I got for y'all. I ain't got no I ain't got no sermon for y'all. God said
Right.
y'all should repent, bro. And I'm gonna sit up under this tree and wait for y'all to burn. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Basically.
next thing you know, they done put the sackcloth on and repented, and he like, I'm pissed off, bro. Like you
Yeah.
because I wanted them people to suffer. I wanted them to face the consequences of their actions. And God said, "No, they repent.
They repenting.
No, but vengeance is mine, not yours."
You know what's so amazing about that story? In Jonah wanting them to suffer so bad and disobeying God, guess what happened to him?
Suffered,
He suffered the
suffered.
whole time. He just suffered. Tried to disobey God's will, tried not to forgive. You suffer.
Yes, and imagine how he's sitting under the tree, drinking that
Wh-
proverbial poison, sitting there
Right.
waiting. Oh yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for these mother. Yep. They about to get.
And
They
then
about
the
to
tree
get what they
die
got.
on him. And the shade go away. He like, man, nah,
It's like, yo,
nah. And they
now,
just repenting.
now,
Yeah.
if only you could have forgave them,
Right.
they probably would have made you king over there, bro.
You see what I'm
Cause
saying?
you help them. Like, and we forget because we do get stuck in this phase where forgiveness. We think that forgiveness is like holding somebody hostage, and like
Hmm.
and in order to forgive, like, I'm letting you off the hook. And it's like, no, forgiveness ain't for them, it's for you. Right. And
It's for you.
you said something about the relationships. I wanted to come back to that because um sometimes you forgive and that person is no longer in your life. That's true.
Hmm.
That's what happened with my grandfather because he was dead. So which was a blessing for me because since he died, um one of the things that was a blessing is that he wasn't able to continue doing what he was doing because he was dead, right? And so that allowed me to actually practice forgiveness. I only know one person. I only know one person who was strong enough to be able to be getting nailed to a tree and forgiving as they're getting nailed to the tree, right? I don't know if I could do that.
There only ever be one person.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't do that. Right. I need some time. Right. And
Time, you nail me to a tree. Trust me. Trust me. There is no forgiveness, bro. I'm taking that to knock it down, but there is no forgiveness. No, I'm not going for that.
Yeah. but
Not
but
at
but
all.
I do say, like, with the relationships, right? There are some times when the person will still be in your life, and
True.
in that case, the relationship should never be the same. Though you should never have the same relationship, and here's why: because if I'm doing something to hurt you, to bring anger towards you, to cause you to hold resentment, and I'm doing that, and you forgive me, so now you let go of that anger and that resentment, and we resume the relationship the same way it was. well, then I'm probably going to do that thing again.
Sure.
And I'm probably going to bring up more anger and more resentment again.
Sure.
And so the relationship should be modified in some way. There should be some boundaries set up. There should be something to where it's like, hey, bro, like, I love you. We cool. I forgive you. Bro, don't do that again. Don't, don't, don't do that. Like,
And
if
if
we're
you
gonna
do
get,
that again,
and if you do that, then there's gonna be some consequences, right?
consequences. Yeah.
But there need to be like our relationship needs to be modified because I can't sit up here, you smack me in the face, and I'm like, shoot, all right, I forgive you. All right, I forgive you. All right, I forgive. No, no. We ain't gonna keep doing that. No, at some point, we need to modify this relationship, or maybe the relationship does need to end, and that's okay too. Because you can end a relationship and still forgive somebody. I can forgive you
Mhm.
and say, you know what, I forgive you, and I never want to see you again.
Mm.
You know, like there's a movie you ever seen, Antoine Fisher?
Mhm. Oh yeah, when he forgave his mom, that was powerful.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
And
powerful.
at the end of the movie, if anybody ever seen it, it's a beautiful scene at the end of the movie where he went to go find his foster family. It's a great movie. I suggest it, highly suggest it. But he goes, he finds his family. He comes back to his therapist, and he said, first thing he said, "I'm not a virgin no more." and then and then
Yeah.
then he went on and told his therapist, he said, "Listen, I went and found my family, and I forgive them, but I'm good if I never see them again." And
He said he
and
found his mother.
yeah, right,
If
the
I never
foster
see,
family, right?
yeah, if I
And
never
he's
see
like,
her again,
I'm good if I
wow.
never see her again, right? And it's like, yeah, that's yes, you can forgive and still say the relationship is over, or I'm good if I never see you again, but I still forgive you. And I think sometimes people feel like in order for me to forgive, I still have to hold on to you. It's like, no.
You know, that is a great point that you just made up because that's the truth. I think that's the ball and chain right there as far as the barrier between people being able to truly forgive is because they feel like if I forgive you, then we still have to have some type of relationship. Or we
Right.
still have to have some type of connection or still have to, see each other, embrace each other, whatever the case may be. No, that is not it. If you are in control of who you allow in your life and who you don't allow in your life. And
Mhm.
if someone is not for you and you've forgiven them and you've decided that they don't need to be a part of your life, that's your choice.
Yep.
All right. They have nothing to do with that. Even if they want to come back, no, you've already made that choice. Sorry, don't call me. I'm blocking you. Whatever the case may be, do that. But at the same time, if that is part of your forgiveness and that is part of your forgiveness, just make sure that you're not doing that out of spite and you're doing that out of forgiveness, if that makes sense. Because you're doing out of spite
Mhm.
means you're doing it to attack them. Out of spite means you're doing it for reasons for them. Forgiveness is for you.
Right. Right.
So anytime you want to make an action, just make sure you take the time to say, wait a minute, is this about me or is it about this person? Am I deciding this because it's better for me? Or am I deciding this because I think it's going to hurt this person? Or whatever the case may be. But understand that your forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. So whether they remain in your life, which 9 times out of 10 they probably shouldn't, or they're out of your life, still not about them, it's about you.
Yeah. And you got to be honest with yourself, right? And this is where I feel like a lot of people go go sideways because it's like, yeah, I have to be honest with myself and say, you know what? I'm only keeping them around because I want to be real petty right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
like, like, you got to be honest and say, you know, hey, the only reason I'm keeping them around because I want them to see me win. You know what I'm saying? You know how they say, my enemies is gonna be my footstool, so I got to keep them around
mm,
real quick so they can see me win. That ain't forgiveness. That
no.
that that is not forgiveness. That's
Not at all.
that's that's your pride, that's your ego, that is not that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness says, "You know what? If I need to let this person go, then I'm gonna let this person go,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna forgive them for me, but I'm not gonna sit up here and be petty and hope let you go and then sit up here and I hope your next man suck and I hope you know what I'm saying and I hope he treats you like trash and I hope you don't never find another good man. You know what I'm saying? It's like no,
Yeah.
that's not forgiveness.
But hold on, and that it will probably be part of your process. But if that's part of your process, you have not started the process of forgiveness yet. You're
Right.
still in the grieving period, and that's okay. It may take you a while to grieve, but understand that you can't stay stuck in grieving. You cannot move
Right.
on if you stay stuck grieving. You have to grieve, and then you have to forgive, and then you have to move on.
And you know what? I'm glad you made that point because one of the things I always tell my clients is this: like you have to allow those emotions to go through you,
Hmm.
and so like you just said, you may hit that point where you're petty, right? You may hit that
Yeah,
point where
absolutely.
you may hit that point where you want some revenge, but all that means is that you're not there yet. You're not at the finish line of forgiveness yet. And but
There
that
was a
is a
great movie. Oh,
no, go ahead.
no, go ahead. There was a great movie about forgiveness that nobody really understands. It was called Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Did you ever see that?
That's a Medea joint.
That's a Medea joint.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
just the kind of the
Is
base of the
that the
movie
one where the
was,
dude got shot and was in a wheelchair? Her husband who treated her like a
yes,
dog. Okay,
yes,
yeah, 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 yeah,
treated her like crap, kicked her out the house for another
yeah.
woman, all that
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden, he's, you know what I'm saying? He's in a wheelchair and he's helpless. And the lady, he got screwed over by the wife that the lady okay. So now
Right.
he is in a position where he needs help. And she
Mhm.
takes full advantage of it. Oh man, she done took the baby down the stairs, threw him into the tub, thought he was going to drown. I mean, she played it
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
And then there was a talk that Cicely Tyson, I think she played her mom, had with her, and she said, "Listen, I don't know if it was Cicely Tyson, I think it was her, but she said, what are you doing to that man?" She said, "Are you hurting that man?" And she said, "No, mom, I'm just hurting his feelings." He said, "No, no, you got to forgive him.
Yeah.
You got to forgive him." And that was so deep, you know what I mean? To hear her say, "You know what? I know he did it." She said, "I know he put a hurting on you,
Mhm.
but you have to forgive him. You can't go on this way, because regardless of what he did, now she's stuck on being petty.
Yep.
And when you stuck on being petty, first of all, you're gonna make a mistake. But number two, stuck on being petty is not growth. You're still
Right.
stuck where you are. You're actually moving backwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is what you really, you know what I mean? It's interesting um to hear it from a lot of times, forgiveness will come from somebody else telling you, "Hey man, this ain't it."
Yeah.
You got to move on from where this is. You know what I mean? And sometimes you need to hear from somebody who you trust, who's on the outside looking in. And you may say, "Man, you don't get it. You don't know what they did to me." And that person's saying, "You right. I don't. I don't know how
Mhm.
much bad they hurt you, but I know right now you're just hurting yourself. So let's
Yep.
talk. Let's get it all out, and let's talk about any and everything, and let's start this process, because again, it looks different for everybody. But the one thing that I can say is the grieving process is usually not all that different as far as length and emotions. That's one thing, but if you're stuck in wanting them bad for them, wanting petty for them, wanting you to do bad to them, or wanting anything bad to happen to them, you have not started to forgive, and you're only hurting yourself. Just know that you have those thoughts, you're drinking poison.
Right. Right. You're drinking poison and you're hoping that they're gonna die, but what's really happening is it's eating you up and
Killing
it's
yourself.
it's destroying you, right? And
Ask
you
me
know
how I
that
know.
and I think everybody has to go through that to experience
Hmm.
it to be able to say, you know what, it wasn't helpful for me. It didn't help me to want bad for this person. It didn't, and you'll even hear like sometimes when people do get the revenge that they think they want. Yeah, there is a maybe there's a second or two or a minute where they do feel good and relief. But real soon,
Then they realize that it don't change. Oh, go ahead.
you don't change nothing. Nothing's changed.
Don't change now.
The only thing that has changed is you. That monster has come out of you. And now not only do you got to deal with that situation, now you got to deal with the guilt of doing whatever you did. Now you done compounded the situation, right? And so, whatever that situation is, right? If like so for example, if it's infidelity or divorce, that situation causes pain. But when you choose not to forgive, you cause the suffering. And
Ooh,
that suffering can last as long
say
as
that.
you allow it to last. The situation causes the pain. That's the immediate effect of it. But
Say that one more time. The situation causes the
the
pain,
situation causes the
but
pain.
you
You choosing not to forgive, you carrying that anger and resentment and holding on to it and not letting it go causes the suffering. And now
I
it's
like how
the
you said it before.
oh, okay. Well, I don't remember how I said
It's real simple.
it.
Listen, you said the situation causes the pain, but
Yeah.
you cause the suffering. Just leave it at that. That was deep.
Yes.
That was a gem.
Yeah. 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 And if you allow that situation to go 5 years, that's you.
Or 50 years.
Or 50 years, right? Or however long it is, you're holding on to that resentment. And I promise you, you hold on to resentment for years, you're gonna be a bitter person. You ever met like a person in up in age, 70s, 80s, and they are just a
What?
bitter, angry person. It's like man, right, right, right. You're like, man, somebody did me wrong in 1978, and I ain't never gonna. They're never gonna live it dead. They're never gonna live it down. I'm never gonna forgive them, and I'm never gonna let nobody ever do that to me again. They died in '04. They've been dead for 21 years. Right. Yeah. Mhm. Right. Mhm. Mm. Bitter. Bitter is when you say, "I felt that pain, and I want you to feel it too." Or you could be better. And better says, "I felt that pain, and I don't want anybody else to feel that pain ever again. I want to learn. I'm gonna learn from it, and I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help somebody. I'm gonna help somebody because I don't want nobody. Because I know how much it hurt, and I don't want nobody to hurt like that. Even even the person that caused the hurt, because the one thing I'm not a big fan of cliches, but there's one that I do love, and it's hurt people, hurt people. And 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 somebody needs to break the cycle to say, "You know what? You know what? I forgive you. I'm not gonna turn that hurt." Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 And in order to heal, you have to be better, not bitter. Listen, and that's what forgiveness is all about, being better, not bitter. I love it. I love it. Listen, 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 that's a great way to end it. That's a great way to end it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah. On that note, good people, see you next time. Peace.